Hey there everybody, redxparasite here, and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Prime. In the last episode, we explored most of the space pirate base here in the Phendrana Drifts, and we fought our first Metroid. So in this episode, we've reached the end of the base here, at least as far as our map shows us. Had a few pirates to deal with, but it looks like we have another upgrade here. But there's a containment field around it, so we'll need to take care of that. And some other scans on the way down. Thermal imaging. I wonder what this new upgrade could be. So there's the second layer of protection down. The tank. Okay, good. Oh, I didn't even land on the... What the heck? Where's the walkway I was trying to land on? It wasn't that one. No, it was that one. Yeah. That was weird. I could have sworn I was positioning myself in order to land on this one, but... Thermal imaging software exceeding initial expectations. Combat applications are being evaluated by command. Field testing in Phendrana region approved. Alright. Got some turrets to take care of. Yep. There should be two more, I think, on the bottom level, or maybe there are just two. Nope. Guess that might be it. So let's hop down to the lower level. Forceful network, we're at a... Ackward. That is definitely a word that I just made up. Active. On the object. Let's scan the final thing and get the Thermal Visor. Which will prove quite useful to us. Boom. Thermal Visor. So, yeah, you can switch between beams by pressing plus and then aiming. You've seen me switch between the combat visor and the scan visor plenty of times by pressing and holding minus and then aiming. So getting to the other beams is, happens in the same way. But before we do that, can we even scan these guys? I don't know if we can. So there he is right there. You turn the thermal visor on and you can see them. They have cloaking technology, but we can shadow pirates. So I guess probably the best time to scan these guys is right after you kill them, because I don't know if they will even show up normally. They might show up if they attack you. I'm not totally sure about that though. Pirate forces trained and equipped for stealth operations. A select group of space pirates have access to sophisticated cloaking technology. This gear drains high levels of power, however, forcing them to rely solely on melee weapons in battle. They use enhanced detection gear when fighting these units. So, boom. So yeah, the lights just went out right when we got the visor, which is, very, very suspicious. More like it was just the developers saying, hey, we want you to use this new thing that we created, also that space pirate is stuck running up the stairs. I'm just going to stay here right now and let that happen because it's hilarious. Also, we're fighting this Metroid from a distance. There we go. Hi there. Sucker. I don't think there's really anything else to scan in this room. Also, his body was persisting there for quite some time. So we've got more Metroids here. I find it interesting how the panels on the ground light up so much, though. Like, if you turn it off, they're kind of lit up. It's not really clear exactly what they're made out of, but... Again, I suspect that the reason that the developers, made these panels glow so well is so that you can find your way when you're using the thermal visor more easily. Because most things, if they don't show up on the thermal visor, are purple. You know, you can see the shade of purple, and they don't. There's not much color contrast between things. This door has no power. A nearby power conduit must be energized for it to open. A blast of electrical energy will energize the conduit. It radiates some heat that is invisible to normal spectrum. Now, it's important to note that you don't have to actually be in the thermal visor to activate these things, which is actually kind of cool. I mean, it makes sense. You know, you'd think, well, if it requires electrical energy, you don't really need to see the thermal radiation, so it makes sense, but you just need to use the thermal visor to find them, basically. In any case, we have a new enemy here, sentry drones, well armored and armed security mecha. Security drones have limited intelligence, but do their assigned tasks well. Being machines, they are susceptible to electrical attacks. When alerted, drones initiate a security lockdown, then attempt to neutralize the intruder. Their electronic warfare suit can scramble visor technology as well. So, we don't actually have the visor that allows you to see these guys completely, but you will be able to lock onto them with the thermal visor. So, I recommend using that. The wave beam, like it does with pirates, actually is extremely effective against these guys, and you can stun lock them pretty easily as well. Oops. So we've got more shadow pirates here. Once they actually land on the ground, I'm trying to see if I can. Yeah, it only looks like you can actually get their scans when they're dead. Oh, I inadvertently rode the elevator up. So yeah, these guys are actually, since they don't shoot at you, using the wave beam on them is pretty effective. There's another turret right there. I don't know if there was actually a turret there before. That might be a new addition. That only happens the second time you enter the room. Oops. See, I'm trying to jump on that thing that I told you about earlier, and it's not really working very well because I can't see things. But yeah, if I get out of the visor here, this entire area is dark now. So they clearly want you to use the visor for it. Another little speed trick that you can do right here is you can jump up on the thing that we used to get that missile expansion earlier, and then just jump straight back up to this area. Oops. I was trying to activate the visor and did the beam instead. So there was an ice beam door that was blocking our way forward. So if we go and look at the map, that's why we couldn't go any farther in that direction, and why we're backtracking. Also, we don't need to use our thermal visor here, which is nice. On our return trip, however, we have more flying pirates to deal with. Thought I hit you already. It takes 3 charged wave beam shots to take these guys out. We're just getting all of the health, which I probably should have saved for later. Because we're more likely than not going to get hit. Yep, there we go. I was about to say, and then then I'll go and do it without getting hit. And I only got hit a little. Transport active. Really? You don't say. Alright, this tunnel doesn't have anything in it now, it's just kind of dark. Of course, here we're gonna have more pirates. Before we do, however, let's just go and hit up the save point. No reason not to, really. We don't need the health recharge, but saving your progress is always good. And actually, the doors aren't locked down, so if you just jump right here and then just kind of space it out, well, you don't even have to fight them, really. Oh, got another security drone or two. Man, those guys actually really did a number on us. And die. Yeah, it's pitch black in here. It's really hard to see. This should be the way out. Yeah. Just making sure I went towards the right door. Yeah, you can't even scan them when they're paralyzed. Yep, it looks like when they're dying is the only time that you can really get a good scan on them. In any case, we haven't actually used our super missiles at all yet, so why don't we do that and try it out on this cordite column right here. Boom. So, super missiles are definitely a useful thing. Most enemies don't actually require enough firepower to kill, where super missiles are worth it, because you have to use 5 missiles in order to use them, so just something to keep in mind. Alright, just got some more shadow pirates to take out here. And we should be done with this area for the most part. We just have the entryway, but that aside, we're pretty much done here. Oops. It's like, why am I not getting close to the door yet here? Have some more shadow pirates in here now. You know, the game just loves to throw them at you because they're, you know, the new cool thing. Oops, that missed somehow. I'm not quite sure how. But oops. Just get rid of you. You've been a major nuisance. Oops. Yeah, you are not getting the better of us. Although you can just apparently run straight into our face and I can't shoot you for some reason. Okay, that is all of them. Goodbye, Shadow Pirates. And goodbye, Pirate Base. So actually, I want to check something. We are already at 60% of the logbook entries in terms of scans, and a lot of those are because of all of the pirate data that we just got. But you might remember this thing that we couldn't destroy before is indeed made out of cordite, so I'm gonna drop by this save point over here and then we'll see what is in that direction now that we have all the things that we need to go there. So if you look at the map, that is the quarantine area that the space pirates were talking about. I wonder what they have quarantined there. Alright, let's try out our super missiles again. Even if you don't need to use them all that much to kill things, they are pretty fun to use. So, and honestly, with the number of missiles that you get in this game anyways, at least if you're, going for completion and getting a lot of missiles, then you'll have plenty of ammo to play around with. So you may as well, use them. can't really hurt. But let's find out what is in the quarantine cave. It's a pile of rocks. It's a floating pile of rocks. So this is our next boss. It's a floating pile of rocks. And actually, for being a floating pile of rocks, it's a pretty neat boss. So welcome, Thardis. And as you know, you might suspect at this point, the reason that he is animated is because of Phazon. So Thardis, an animated sentient creature of stone charged with Phazon radiation. The Phazon radiation given off by Thardis negates auto-targeting systems, preventing lock-on. It may be possible to acquire alternate targets with a different visor. The chaotic nature of Phazon irradiation leads to instability within its structural integrity. Thardis can encase targets in ice, and its colossal size and strength make it a formidable opponent. So, in order to actually see his weak point, which is actually going to shift throughout the fight, you need to target it with the Thermal Visor. Now, once you actually hit it enough in the Thermal Visor, it will become visible, normally. He has a number of different attacks. One of them you've seen is him just basically raising rocks out of the ground and chucking them at you. I would recommend, I don't know how effective missiles are in this fight. You're most likely just going to want to use charged wave beam shots, because they will home in. He's going to be moving his arms around a lot to do all of these different attacks of his. So whether he's, raising the rocks up and kind of throwing them at you, or spiking his hands into the ground and making that ice appear. The wave beam will probably just do the most damage. He does have quite a bit of health. It's not like Flagra, where it was just kind of like, hit the boss 4 times and that was it. Oh, he's doing both attacks at once. Ooh, that's nice. So yeah, actually, I think the thing we've gotten hit by the most is when he curls up into a ball and rolls around, which can be difficult to avoid. If you're having trouble hitting him, especially when the rock that you're trying to hit are in his claws, if you get around to the side like you saw that I just did right there, it'll make it a lot easier to hit. So if you can just strafe around him in order to get a better shot, definitely do that. Plus it'll, help you avoid things. So during the second kind of phase of the fight here, he spawns a bunch of mist. Now it's obviously you can't see it because we're in the Thermal Visor right now, but once we get out of the Thermal Visor, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Oops. That actually hit me really far. So there you go. Visibility has been greatly reduced now. Kind of hard to see. So actually, one strategy that you can employ, even if you get to the point where you can't really see his target in the Thermal Visor because it overloads, you actually can still track him using it, because if you look away from him while he's like this, it'll actually go back to normal, so you can tell approximately where he is. Actually, your lock-on will still work just fine too, so even if you can't see him, you can still lock on to him pretty well. And I'm just getting rolled over a lot. And yeah, you can see that I've been targeting him while he's in the ball form. You can still hit him, just fine while he's in that. Wow, he is just kind of destroying me while he's rolling around. He should just do that more often. It makes him harder to hit. Okay. So we should be down to the last phase here. Or not? Did I? Apparently I did not destroy that yet. It made this sound like it had been destroyed. Apparently it wasn't. See, there we go. That's what I was looking for. But it looks like he's kind of angry. But in the last phase of the fight here, he is actually going to get rid of the fog for whatever reason. Even though it made it actually, you know, easier for him. Yep. I've actually managed to lose 2 energy tanks in this fight. I believe those rocks that he launches at you, if you shoot them, they will drop pickups. Other than that, there's not too much more to this fight. It's kind of just a rinse and repeat process of, you know, going into the Thermal Visor, finding out whichever rock of his you need to target, you know, just hitting it until you can see it normally and then targeting it in the combat visor. And just because I wanted to be flashy, I finished him off with the super missile. But that is the Thardus fight. Aside from the whole going into the Thermal Visor thing, there really isn't too much of a gimmick to this fight, which can be kind of nice, you know, when some games, you know, all the boss fights are just kind of like one large gimmick after another. But for defeating Thardus, we get the Spider Ball, which it was initially introduced in Metroid 2, and then it did come back until this game. It's kind of interesting, you know. It served a purpose in Metroid 2 of allowing you to climb walls and various areas before you got your hands on the space jump in that game. But in this game, and all of the other Prime games, which it shows up in, you can only use it where there are these magnetic tracks, which I should actually scan the next opportunity that I get. Let's see, we want to head, I think, in this direction. I will check my map once I land. Yes, so this is the area that we want to get to. But first things first, let's scan. Oh, there it is. Research entry. Magnetic rail system track in morph mode. Press and hold Z. And use the control stick to move the ball around the track. You can release Z to disengage from the surface. And using bombs will disengage you from the surface as well. So this is going to be kind of a longer episode, but I knew going into it, if I was going to fit Thardus into this and not end it early, that it would be. So you have a magnetic rail track here again, but there's an ice beam door at the top of it, so we can't go any farther in this direction, so let's take the elevator. So actually spit us out in a new area of Magmore Caverns, which we'll have to explore in the next episode. And also, before we go, we have another opportunity to use the... What? Why didn't that work? Okay, let's try that again. There we go. We have another opportunity to use that completely pointless missile reflection trick that I showed off earlier. So, thank you very much for watching. I have been redxparasite, signing out.